You know, it's an interesting thing about life. Every day hands us the same 24 hours. Not a minute more, not a second less. And yet some people use those hours to build dreams, create wealth, strengthen character, while others let them slip quietly through their fingers. The difference, my friends, is not in the hours we have, but in what we do with them. Success doesn't visit in a single day. It's built in the quiet, unseen moments when nobody's watching. It's shaped in the habits, the disciplines, the decisions we make every sunrise. You don't have to overhaul your life overnight. You just have to work on the right things every single day. If you want your life to change, you must change. If you want better results, you must get better. Every day is a fresh opportunity to sharpen your mind, strengthen your body, nurture your relationships, and guard your attitude. So today I want to share with you 10 things, 10 simple, powerful areas that deserve your attention every day, not once a week, not when it's convenient, but daily. Because when you work on these things consistently, life itself begins to work for you. And if you'll commit to these daily disciplines, your future will not be a matter of chance, it will be a matter of choice. Your choice. Every day, whether we realize it or not, we are shaping our future through the habits we live by. The small decisions we make, the thoughts we entertain, and the routines we repeat silently carve out the direction of our lives. It's not the grand gestures or the rare moments of brilliance that define success. It's the quiet, consistent actions we practice day after day. You see, we all have habits. Some serve us, others slowly destroy our potential. But the truth is, our habits eventually become our character, and our character determines our destiny. What you repeatedly do each morning, each evening, each moment of choice builds the foundation of who you are becoming. Think about it. A person doesn't suddenly wake up successful or disciplined or wise. These are not overnight miracles. They are the result of 1,000 small acts. The decision to read instead of scroll, to think instead of react, to plan instead of drift. Success is never owned, it's rented, and the rent is due every day. The habits we cultivate decide whether that rent is paid in full or left overdue. Many people dream of changing their circumstances, but few are willing to change their daily habits. Yet, that's where the real transformation begins. If you want to rise higher, you must look closely at the things you do without thinking, because those unconscious choices are steering your life more than your conscious desires. The magic of daily discipline lies in its compounding effect. Reading 10 pages a day might seem insignificant, but over a year, that's over 3,000 pages of wisdom. Saving a small portion of your income may feel trivial, but over time, it builds financial freedom. Speaking a kind word each morning, expressing gratitude before sleep. These are small things, but they create powerful shifts in how you see the world and how the world responds to you. The habits you form are like seeds planted in the soil of time. You don't see the results immediately, but given consistency, they grow into strong trees that bear fruit for years to come. It's also important to understand that habits work both ways. Neglect is a habit too. Missing one workout may seem harmless, but when repeated, it becomes a pattern of excuses. Ignoring a goal for one day easily turns into a week, then a month. That's why awareness is so essential, to catch the small deviations before they turn into detours. Life rewards those who pay attention to the small things because the small things are never truly small. They are the quiet architects of our destiny, shaping the person we become long before the results ever appear. Consistency is the bridge between dreams and achievement. It's the simple act of showing up day after day, even when motivation fades and the excitement wears off. Most people underestimate the power of small, consistent actions because they seem insignificant in the moment. But consistency turns ordinary efforts into extraordinary results. It's not about doing everything perfectly once. It's about doing the right things repeatedly until they become part of who you are. Discipline doesn't come from bursts of inspiration. It comes from routine, from doing what needs to be done whether you feel like it or not. The truth is, success doesn't respond to intensity, it responds to consistency. Think of how water shapes stone. A single drop means nothing, but thousands of drops over time carve valleys and shape landscapes. That's the power of steady, unwavering effort. The same applies to your goals. Reading for 10 minutes every day builds a library of wisdom. Practicing a skill for half an hour daily creates mastery. Saving a small amount of money consistently grows into wealth. The results don't appear overnight, but the process is always working beneath the surface. The challenge is that most people quit too soon, just before the breakthrough, because they don't see progress fast enough. But progress is not always visible. It's often happening quietly, preparing the foundation for a sudden leap forward. Consistency also builds trust, both with yourself and others. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you strengthen your self-belief. You prove that you can rely on your own word. Over time, this develops an unshakable confidence because you no longer need to rely on external motivation. You become your own source of drive. On the other hand, inconsistency breeds self-doubt. When you repeatedly start and stop, make promises and break them, you teach your mind not to take your intentions seriously. That's why consistency isn't just a habit. It's a character trait. It defines how you approach everything in life. There's also a quiet rhythm to consistency. It brings order to chaos and direction to effort. It allows momentum to build, and momentum is one of the most powerful forces in personal growth. Once you start moving forward steadily, things that once felt difficult begin to feel natural. The small disciplines become effortless, and success begins to feel inevitable. Consistency is not glamorous. It's often repetitive, dull, and invisible to others. But it's the secret ingredient behind every great success story. Because while talent can give you a head start and motivation can get you going, only consistency keeps you moving when the road gets long and the results take time to appear. Personal responsibility is the cornerstone of growth. It's the moment you stop blaming circumstances, luck, or other people and decide that your life is in your hands. The day you accept full ownership of your choices, your mindset, and your actions is the day everything begins to change. Many people spend their lives waiting for something outside themselves to shift. A better opportunity, a lucky break, or a more favorable condition. But the truth is, life doesn't get better by chance, it gets better by change. And that change begins with you. Taking responsibility means understanding that you are both the cause and the solution to most of what happens in your life. It's not about guilt or blame. It's about power, the power to shape your own direction. When you accept responsibility, you stop seeing yourself as a victim of your circumstances. You begin to see yourself as the architect of your destiny. That shift in thinking changes everything. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what can I do about it? That one question transforms helplessness into strength. It gives you control over your responses, even when you can't control the situation itself. Life will always present challenges, setbacks, and surprises, but how you interpret and respond to them determines your growth. Responsibility means facing those moments with courage instead of excuses. The hardest part about personal responsibility is that it requires honesty. It's easy to point fingers, but it takes maturity to look in the mirror and admit, I could have done better. Growth begins in that moment of humility. You realize that every decision, how you spend your time, how you treat people, how you handle adversity, carries consequences. If you choose discipline, you gain progress. If you choose laziness, you inherit regret. Every action plants a seed, and the harvest always reflects the planting. Taking responsibility is about tending to your own garden instead of blaming the soil or the weather. Another powerful truth is that responsibility brings freedom. The more you own your life, the less you depend on others to fix it for you. You stop waiting for motivation, and you start creating it. You stop wishing for a better future, and you start building it. Responsibility gives you direction, focus, and purpose. It turns setbacks into lessons and failures into stepping stones. When you take full ownership of your path, no one can take that power away from you. You become accountable to your potential, and that accountability becomes the driving force that leads you forward, no matter what life throws your way. Working on your skills every day is one of the most valuable investments you can ever make, because growth doesn't come from wishing for success. It comes from preparing for it. The marketplace rewards competence, not hope. To stay relevant, to stay sharp, to stay confident, you must keep learning. Skills are like muscles. If you don't use them, they weaken, and if you train them daily, they grow stronger. The world is constantly changing, and what worked yesterday might not work tomorrow. That's why daily improvement is not optional. It's essential. You can't rely on the knowledge you had 5 years ago, or even last year, because progress moves quickly. The only way to stay ahead is to keep sharpening the tools of your mind and mastering the craft of your work. Every day offers an opportunity to learn something new, no matter how small. It could be reading a few pages of a book, practicing your communication skills, learning from a mentor, or refining a talent you already have. The goal isn't to become the best overnight, but to become a little better than you were yesterday. Those small daily improvements compound over time until they create mastery. When you dedicate time to learning, You build confidence and creativity. You start connecting ideas, solving problems faster, and seeing opportunities others overlook. Learning fuels progress, and progress fuels motivation. That's how you build momentum. Through consistent development of your abilities, it's important to work on both technical and personal skills. Technical skills make you capable. Personal skills make you valuable. You might know how to do a job well, but if you can't lead, communicate, or adapt, your growth will be limited. That's why you must develop not only your craft, but also your character. Learn to listen, to collaborate, to think critically, to handle pressure with grace. These soft skills often determine how far your hard skills will take you. The balance of both makes you unstoppable. Working on your skills also requires humility, the willingness to admit that you don't know everything and that there's always more to learn. The moment you stop learning, you start declining. Every expert was once a beginner who stayed curious long enough to become competent. When you make learning part of your daily rhythm, success becomes a natural outcome. You no longer chase opportunities, opportunities begin to find you. The person who keeps improving, who stays a student of life, never falls behind. The pursuit of skill is really the pursuit of excellence, and those who practice it daily become people of influence, confidence, and lasting success. Relationships are at the heart of a meaningful life. No matter how skilled, wealthy, or disciplined you become, your happiness and fulfillment will always be deeply connected to the quality of your relationships. Every day offers a chance to invest in the people who matter most. Your family, friends, mentors, colleagues, and the community around you. The truth is, success achieved alone is hollow, but success shared is multiplied. People are not interruptions to your goals. They are the reason your goals matter. Working on your relationships daily means showing up with presence, gratitude, and understanding. It means listening more than you speak, appreciating more than you criticize, and giving more than you expect to receive. The strength of your relationships is built in the small, consistent gestures. A kind word, a thoughtful message, a few minutes of genuine attention. These simple acts may seem small, but they build trust, and trust is the foundation of every lasting connection. When people know they can rely on your word, when they feel seen and valued, the bond deepens. Too often, people wait for big moments to express appreciation, but relationships grow in the quiet, ordinary days. They are nurtured through care, respect, and consistency. Working on relationships also means taking responsibility for your part in them. It's easy to point out others' flaws, but maturity begins when you ask yourself how you can contribute to harmony instead of conflict. Sometimes it's not about being right, but about being kind. Sometimes it's choosing to forgive rather than hold a grudge. Relationships thrive in environments of patience and understanding, not pride and resentment. Each day, you have the power to either strengthen or weaken the connections in your life through the way you speak, listen, and act. It's also important to surround yourself with people who challenge and uplift you. The company you keep shapes your mindset. Spend time with those who inspire growth, who push you to think bigger and live better. A strong circle of support and accountability can accelerate your personal and professional development. Likewise, be that source of encouragement for others. Offer guidance, share wisdom, and celebrate others' success without envy. The energy you give to your relationships always finds its way back to you. At the end of the day, it's not the titles, possessions, or accomplishments that define a rich life. It's the people you've touched and the love you've given. Relationships require effort, attention, and heart, but the return on that investment is immeasurable. When you nurture them daily, they become a source of joy, strength, and purpose that sustains you through every season of life. Focus and discipline are the twin forces that turn potential into achievement. In a world full of distractions, the ability to direct your attention and stay committed to your priorities is becoming rarer and more valuable. Every day, there are countless things competing for your time, your energy, and your mind. Without focus, you scatter your strength. Without discipline, you lose your direction. Working on these two qualities daily means training yourself to choose what matters most, even when everything else demands your attention. Focus is the art of saying no to what's unnecessary so that you can give your best to what's essential. Discipline is the strength to keep showing up for those essentials, especially when the excitement fades and the work becomes routine. Focus begins with clarity. You must know what you want and why you want it. Without a clear target, your effort gets diluted and you end up busy but not productive. Once you decide on your priorities, the next step is protecting them. That means minimizing distractions, turning off notifications, setting boundaries, creating an environment that supports your goals. The more focused your energy, the greater your results. It's like sunlight diffused light warms, but focused light burns through obstacles. Each day, you have to direct your attention toward what brings real progress instead of temporary pleasure. Discipline, on the other hand, is what keeps that focus alive. It's the commitment to follow through even when motivation is gone. Most people wait until they feel ready or inspired, but discipline doesn't depend on feelings. It's a decision, not an emotion. It's the quiet promise you make to yourself that you'll do what needs to be done, no matter how you feel about it in the moment. Over time, discipline builds self-respect because you learn to trust yourself. Every time you keep a promise to your goals, you strengthen your inner will. That self-trust becomes your greatest source of power. When you practice focus and discipline daily, you create momentum. What once felt difficult becomes automatic. You start moving through challenges with ease because your mind is trained to stay the course. You no longer waste time on distractions or excuses, and your consistency compounds into mastery. Focus makes your effort meaningful, and discipline makes it continuous. Together, they turn ordinary individuals into extraordinary achievers. Each day is an opportunity to sharpen these muscles, to resist distraction, to commit to purpose, and to move forward with deliberate intent. The more you cultivate focus and discipline, the more control you gain over your life, your time, and your destiny.